I know it's always a sacrifice to take some time out of a Saturday to do this kind of stuff, but I hope you see it as an investment in your overall health. And hopefully this hour will be well worth it. And we'll try to make it interactive, so it's not just Liz and I talking at you. But we try to do these about every quarter, right, to bring as much value as we can to the community. One of our core tenets at Whole Strength is that we believe that as a business and as a coaching team, we're kind of a gateway for people to like access into healthier lifestyle. Maybe think about things, get access to things that they hadn't seen before, to just help them in their overall health and fitness journey. And I'm going to use the words health and fitness kind of interchangeably. So that's kind of one of the reasons we do these talks. Is just it's in line with our core tenets as a business to bring as much value. Because I think everyone who's been working out for any length of time knows that fitness and health are so much more than just a workout, right? It really is a lot of things that happen outside of the gym, right? So we call this talk Owning Your Health, Mastering Your Daily Inputs. It's a big thing that we talk about in our nutrition program, building habits. And we can kind of like say some of those words like inputs, behaviors, habits. They're kind of a little bit interchangeable, right, as far as what we're trying to get at here. But it's like looking at not just the outcome that we're shooting for, but also what are the inputs that we're putting in day to day. Who's ever read the book Atomic Habits? Anybody ever read that book? It's a great read. It's a great read. You can definitely Audible that book. You can just listen to an Audible. It's one of those you can just listen to, but it's a great read. And some of the stuff that we're going to go over is kind of based on some of the stuff in that book. And so, Atomic Habits by James. Yeah, by James Clear. So I actually got a pre-release of that book before it became this huge, bestseller. Because I own the gym and they sent it out to a bunch of affiliates. I didn't realize how popular of a book I had when I first got the book in my hands. But some of the stuff we'll be talking about will be some of that. Cool. All right. So this is kind of one of the takeaways. Like most people don't struggle with like nutrition and health because they don't know what to do. Right, and most people kind of know-ish what they should be doing, but they struggle because they don't have a system. They don't have inputs that allow them. They don't have a system that allows them to build the daily inputs that's going to get them to the outcome they're looking for. One of the things that has been influential in my life is like knowing the difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's a lot of knowledge, and we'll say knowledge and information are kind of in the same bucket. Like anybody can go Google something, right? Like we live in the information age. Knowledge is just literally at your fingertips. There's a difference between that and wisdom, which is knowledge applied, right? And wisdom I still find to be pretty rare in life. Like somebody who actually can take that knowledge and has successfully applied it to their life. And so hopefully we're going to take, yes, sometimes what people need is more knowledge. That definitely does happen. People like literally, I'm like, I thought, this highly processed bread was super healthy for me. Like, okay, we need more knowledge there, right? But a lot of times there's, hey, I have some knowledge, but I don't apply it, right? I'm not consistent with my application of that knowledge, right? And so I want to try to build some systems that allow me to apply that, right? So that's one of our kind of main messages here. We believe at Whole Strength in 4 pillars of health. And today kind of intersects all those pillars a little bit, but the pillars are essentially like your health is essentially a combination of how you move your body. So we'll say movement. Now that is not just inside the gym, it's also outside the gym, right? It's just how frequently and the quality of the movement that I'm putting into my physical structure. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2, and we'll intertwine this throughout this talk today, is nutrition, right? Arguably, even a bigger part of the puzzle than the movement part, right? Mm-hmm. But both are pillars in your overall health. And so that's just like, what kinds of foods am I putting in my body? Am I eating the right amounts? That kind of thing. And then pillar 3 is sleep. And that's like your ability that's directly related to recovery, right? Who has any like sleep trackers? I just started wearing one a couple weeks ago. It's kind of wild information, right? And so, yeah. So sleep. And then the last component, the last pillar of your health is your mindset, right? And that's a lot of what we're talking about today. Can you come to things with what we call a beginner's mindset? You know, the ability to look at something, even if you've seen it many times before, to look at it freshly and say, maybe I can see this from a little different angle. Like an open-mindedness there, right? So knowing what you know and being confident in that, but also still being curious, right? And like that's a big thing, right? So mindset. And then the thing that ties those four pillars together is the relationships in your life, right? The people and the community that you surround yourself with, right? So a lot of what we're talking about is in the mindset component today, right? And we're building systems and all that. But we're also tying in all these other components into this, right? So that's like foundational principle for us at Whole Strength, those four pillars of health. You'll find that interestingly, like, and I believe this is backed up by science, my research too, but genetics is not one of your pillars, right? Like if you live long enough on this earth, your genetics will get you, right? Eventually, because we all have genetics, but that some people are like, oh, it's my genes. I'm like, you're 20. It's not your genes. Okay. So, here's the first question. We can write a little note down, okay? How many of you already know at least one thing you could be doing to improve your health, but you're just not doing it consistently or don't know if you're doing it consistently? Can you think of one thing that you're like, I know I should be doing it? I'm not going to say should. Nope.
Don't should yourself.
Yeah, don't should myself. I even put that in my notes. Right. But
should on yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So
I can think about my
portions. Okay, I love that. Right. So make a little note. Right. Put a little note on your sheet. So it's something that you know you're not doing consistently, or maybe you're not sure if you're doing it consistently. But what's one thing you think you could do to improve your health or fitness? Okay. Write that down. It's just for yourself. One thing that I always have to, I think is a good preface to this type of conversation. We're trying to pursue progress, not perfection. Mm-hmm. Coach Liz has a wonderful talk that she does on that very topic of progress over perfection. Because I think there's a propensity for most people to go like, okay, I have this habit. I got to do all of it. I got to do all of it perfectly. And if I can't do all of it perfectly, well then screw it. I'm going to throw it all out, right? And so, and none of the stuff we're talking about is going to be meant to like shame anyone or tie your worth to what we're talking about. So that's some good things to just remember as we're going through this kind of stuff. So there's a tension, right? There's a tension in life. There's paradoxes in life that I found where you're just like, I got to live in this tension, right? I got to live in this tension of being like, okay, I know there's things I could be doing, I could work towards, but I'm not going to diminish my self-worth because I have things that I still want to work towards, right? I got to live within that tension, right? We're not going to hand you a long list of rules, right? That's not the goal for today. What we're here to help you identify is where you want to go. What actions will have the biggest impact to get to that destination, and to help you build systems that will make those actions easier. Okay. Motivation is helpful, but we all know motivation can be unreliable, right? So if I can build a system that will help me, which is the part Liz is going to bring today, will help me stick with stuff, right? That will be really helpful as we go through. Okay. Okay. So kind of on the board here, we're going to kind of break it into some kind of a flow, right? So we'll say over here we have outcomes. What's upstream from outcomes is inputs. And what's upstream from inputs is systems, or we can say maybe like environment. Oh man, my spelling. Thank you.
I won the spelling bee in like 3rd grade.
Thank you, so. Coach Liz. Coach Liz has got better spelling than I do. And yeah, okay. So here's the interesting thing, as you know, if you read Atomic Habits, and I've just as Liz has chewed on these concepts for a long time, this is like a truth of life. It's not like a hack. Like your current outcomes, like where you are currently in life, and you could apply this to health, you could to fitness, you could apply this to your finance, you can apply it to relationships, you can apply it to everything. Where you're at is some combination of the inputs that you've put in, right, in the systems environment that you have either created or were born in, right? Some systems environment you are just where we're at, right? We're all born in a certain time and place, in a certain family, right? Like there's not I can't control all things, right? But where I'm at here is just this, right? And so that's kind of where we're kind of like break this thing down, because I love to give people agency, right? It doesn't mean that what has happened to you in your life up to this point is like all your responsibility. It's not, right? We all have things that have happened in our lives that aren't ours. But they're ours in the sense that, well, they happened to me, so now they're mine now, whether I wanted them or not, right? So now I have to have these things, right? But I can have agency. If I want a different outcome, what can I do if I go upstream and go to see like what other inputs could I build, right? So we're going to kind of talk about this. I'm going to talk about these two sections, and Liz is going to bring this last one, okay? A lot of times people spend a lot of time thinking about the outcome, but they don't spend a lot of time either thinking and or working on the inputs. And they get frustrated because then the outcome doesn't come, right? Because they didn't change the inputs that they were doing, right? But we still need the outcome, right? The outcome is like, it's like the sunset on the horizon. It like tells me like, go that direction. I know I reference this book all the time, but if you haven't read this book, The Gap and the Gain, it is literally one of the most life-changing books I've ever read, right?
That's right.
I don't say that lightly. It's definitely a massive. The Gap.
I'll have a copy if anybody wants to read it.
Yeah, The Gap and the Gain, by oh my goodness,
I can't remember
the author, but yeah, Stan Sullivan, but the co-author, the guy that wrote it. Anyway, you'll find it. Gap and the Gain. Okay. So we'll keep it in the health and fitness space though, because that's what we're talking about, right? But you could apply this to other areas of your life for sure. Like we think about the outcome. We want to move up on a level. We want to change our blood work, right? We want to lose weight. We want to gain muscle, right? Outcome is usually the result of repeated behaviors. Okay, those behaviors are heavily influenced by the environment or the systems that we're in as well. So, okay, here we go. We're getting interactive again. What is one health outcome you're currently trying to work towards right now? Health or fitness outcome. Here's some examples, right? So we could be losing body fat, gaining muscle, of course, body composition change. We could be trying to hit a level up on the map. We could be trying to improve our blood pressure, our cholesterol, blood sugar. We could be trying to just have more energy throughout the day, not crashing in the middle of the afternoon, right? Or feeling like I have the energy to play with my kids or my grandkids. Those are all some examples. Just write down one. I'll give you a second. Okay. We got one? You don't have to share, but does anybody want to share what they wrote down?
I put lower body fat and gain muscle.
Okay, I love that. That's
Some body
awesome.
composition. Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to try to do with the outcomes is we're going to, and I know this can be tough, and I understand also why people don't want to do this. They don't like to be super specific with their outcomes because they've had outcomes before and they failed at those outcomes, and they don't like to deal with that failure that they've faced. So it's just better just not to name it. If I don't name it, then I don't have to fail at it, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand why it can be tough for sometimes, and sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just like, I just haven't really thought about it or haven't put enough intentional thought behind it. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get a little specific with the outcome. Like, I need to at least know, like, did I ever get there? Did I ever achieve that thing, right? So when I do intros with people, when they first sign up, now, I don't have a lot of emotional equity, with people when they sign up. They don't know me from Adam, right? They're just like, I don't know, some random dude, right? I have a little more emotional equity with members because like we have a little more relationship. So I can usually go a little deeper, right? But I'll ask them the question, like, what defines success for you, right? That's one of the questions I ask people all the time. People tell me all the time, I just want to be healthier. I'm like, One of two things is true. One, you haven't thought about it, but you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me if you hadn't thought about it a little bit, right? Or two, you have thought about it and you're afraid to identify what that thing is that you're trying to work towards, right? Or maybe you don't know how to put it in words. That's a possible option as well, right? So we'll try to get a little more specific than just like, I want to get healthier, right? So let's SMART goals, I think, can be okay here. That acronym gets a little overused in my book, but if you haven't heard that acronym before, who's heard the SMART goal acronym before? Okay, all right, I'll write it down. I think it's okay, but we don't want to get like obsessive about it, right? I think but the big one here is I like that they're specific. That's a hard word to spell too.
I-F-I-C.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, specific, right? So how could I want to lose some body fat? I could say I want to, if I'm at 19% body fat, I want to go to 18, right? I could get specific that way, right? We could use a tool like an InBody and say, okay, like I can be specific about that. Okay, I could give it an actual number. I could make it measurable, right? Can I get there? Like, is there a way I can measure it? Is it achievable? This is where I don't always jive with this, right? Because achievable is hard sometimes for people to identify. But at least we can make it, I think most of it, like, I could set a goal like, I want to compete in the NBA. And I'm like, bro, go for it. I mean, I will support you as a coach. I believe in people. But I'm like, I don't know if being me at 43, 5'9", white dude is going to make it in the NBA. I don't know if that's going to happen, right? So, like, we got to be somewhat like, okay, is this actually achievable? Also, but this ties in, is it relevant? Like, I don't know, I could maybe sometimes, and this is where I did write the don't shit all over yourself. People do all the time, like, I should be doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we just like sift through that a little, it's kind of like you're saying that because that's what the culture tells you should be doing.
Social media.
That's what social media tells you you should be doing. That's what your family tells you should be doing. Is it actually relevant to you? Right? It may be. I don't know. But like that's a little reflection question. So is it relevant? Like I don't actually want to compete in the NBA, right? So why would I even care about that, right? So, and then is it time bound? Does it have any like destination on the time, right? So I could say I want to lose weight, but I could also say I want to lose like 10 pounds. That's real. That's measurable. I could measure that on an InBody. That's totally achievable. Yes. Is it relevant to me? That's a reflection question. Which we're going to tie in here in a second. Maybe. And can I put a time on that? Yeah. I mean, I can do that in like 6 months for sure. Okay. So again, the main thrust of this conversation is actually Liz's part, which we're going to get to, but we still have to have some outcome. Like I'm working towards that, right? Okay, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. So connection to the meaning, right? So this is the kind of ties into this relevant part. Why does the outcome matter to you? What would achieving it allow you to do? How would it allow you to live your life differently? How would your daily life be different if you achieved that goal? So tying it to some meaning can be helpful. So if you wrote something down, like even just like put a little question mark, is this relevant to me? Like, is it where I want to go, right? And how does it affect my life if I get there? And it just helps you tie it into some deeper meaning for yourself.
I don't know if you're going to get into this, but we talk a lot about, me and Ryan talk about this a lot, but I also talk about this with clients, and I may be jumping ahead of you.
You're good.
But talking about, like, thinking about the person you want to become, it kind of like ties in with this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what will losing 10 pounds do for you? How will that change the person you want to become? So really thinking about your identity as well
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because I think when people really think ahead and say, it's almost as if, I say this all the time to clients, like what would a person that achieves that, what are those behaviors?
Yeah.
So you might be talking about this in inputs.
Yeah, we're going to tie it
What
in
are
that,
those
which is
behaviors?
great. Yeah, we're going to, exactly. And that's really good. Like, you know, again, I kind of tie it, when I was prepping for this conversation, I kind of thought a lot about like the types of conversations I have with people when they sign up. And because usually when people sign up, there's like a little burst of motivation. They're like excited, I want to try this CrossFit thing, you know, boom. And I kind of try to frame things for them. Like I will always believe in people because I've seen it time and time again, people that never thought they could do X, Y, Z, that can do X, Y, Z. And I just truly, deeply believe that people are capable of a lot of things. But it's the person, you have to become a person, like to get that outcome that you're trying to get to, right? And that's kind of exactly what Liz is talking about. Who is the person you're becoming, which we'll talk about in a second with the inputs. Okay, so we kind of tied it, hopefully, to some deeper meaning. This is something that is actually out of one of Dan Sullivan's books as well. And I think it's just so simple, but it's just true. When they said, don't shit all over yourself. It's okay to just want something. Mm-hmm. That's an okay thing. That's kind of weird because like maybe I just want to be able to do muscle ups. I don't have a deep like meaning behind that. I just want to be able to do this movement, or I just, you know, that's cool. Like, fine, let's go for it, right? So write those things down too. That can be helpful. All right. So we have an outcome that we're looking for. So where we're going to shift now. So we're not going to assess about the outcome. That just gives us our direction. It points us in the right direction of what we're trying to shoot for. Here's where we're going to spend a little bit more time on the inputs, right? And this is a big change, right? Or this is a big perspective, focus change that will be helpful for people, right? So what we have to understand is I can't actually control this. Like, I can't control the outcome. That's actually not possible. You could do, quote unquote, everything right and not lose 20 pounds or whatever, right? Now, will you likely lose 20 pounds if that's your outcome? Probably, right? But you, in theory, cannot control the outcomes, right? All you can control is the behavior, right? The input. It's the thing you do. I can control that, right? If you're in any sort of like family, you know for sure, like, because you're like, man, I wish my spouse would quit doing X, Y, Z. And you're like, I wish I could just control what they, you realize I can't control what they do, right? I can only control how that, I'm not actually mad at my wife. So if you're like, dang, he's really mad at his wife. Yeah, no, but I can't control the people, right? What people are doing, right? I have kids, I can't control what they're going to do, right? But I can work on the inputs that will probably lead to the outcome that I'm looking for. All right, so let's talk about the inputs. Okay. Inputs are, okay, here we go. We're going to ask a question. I forgot my notes here. All right, so back to your goal that you wrote down. On a scale of 1 to 10, how consistently are the current daily actions that you're taking aligned with the outcome that you just wrote down?
10 being like,
10 being like,
you're consistent, you're crushing it.
I am in line.
1 like,
Yeah,
not at all.
Not at all. Remember, this isn't about guilt or shame or anything like that.
About bringing awareness.
It's about awareness, which is half, I don't know, more than half the battle.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of the battle. So, okay. All right. So, oftentimes we're going to talk about like some inputs and then also how to like hold ourselves accountable to those things. But I thought this was good. It's like oftentimes we think we need a more extreme plan, right? But sometimes what we need is a plan that we can follow more consistently, right? We need inputs that we can do more consistently. So we have to instead of more extreme, we actually need something more simple, right? A perfect plan followed 30% of the time is not as effective as a less than perfect plan followed 80% of the time, right? So if you can follow that, then less than perfect is going to be ideal. All right. Inputs are the behaviors, right? Behaviors, habits, right? Daily actions. So, if I wanted to lose 10 pounds, what are some daily inputs or habits or behaviors that I could do to get there? Who can share a few things? Drink more water.
Eat more protein.
Protein.
Water.
Eat out less or eat more at home.
Yeah.
Juice.
Eat more at home. Yeah.
Boom. Movement.
Walk after dinner, or walk after a meal. Yep, those are all great. It's all great. So these are all things I can do, right? I actually can't force this. I can do this, right? Every one of us can, like, make a, bring our water bottle everywhere we go. That's a habit, and it may not be a current habit, right? But it's a habit I could build. Every one of us could make sure we're eating the plate method. When I look at my plate, do I have, some protein, starches, vegetables, protein, a little bit of fat, right? Do I have that on my plate, right? That's going to help me by my blood sugar stay more stable, right? I could go for a walk. I can do those things. Now, my systems, my environment, which is the part Liz is going to bring, may not be very supportive of that, right? So I might be like, yeah, in theory I could do that, but I won't ever get it done because that comes to the environment that I'm putting myself in, right? So, but these are things that I could do. Those are good inputs, right? I could get to the gym 3 times a week. I know this is probably obvious, but the Relentless Club thing is just a way for us as a staff to trick everyone in the gym to get here 3 times a week. That's really what it is, right?
Don't bring it down.
We all want to use the golden barbells.
Now they're going to be like,
Don't bring it down, right? No. It's just one habit that I know if I can get everyone to adopt, it's going to lead them to better health outcomes, right? And so that's so I can get in the gym 3 times a week. That's an input I can do, right? I can get those steps in, like we said. I could shut my phone off at bedtime so that I can. Here's even a better one than just shut my phone off, which is like hard. I could get in the habit of taking my phone and putting it in another room when I go to bed, right? There's a good habit, right? And that'll tie into the environment stuff, right? So those are all inputs. So like I had some other inputs, like I say my goal, I had another example on here, was just like level up. I want to level up in the gym, right? Better workout performance, okay? It's like, could I, make sure I'm taking the supplements that I want to take to help me get there, right? Am I getting the adequate amount of protein in, right? So I could make sure I'm tracking that. Am I staying after to work on, the daily extra every day, right? So those are all inputs. Now, where we're going to tie this in to this inputs is how are you tracking it, right? We're going to tie that in a little bit with the nutrition app talk at the very end of this, but how are you actually holding yourself accountable? If there's a good rule of thumb, it's the 80% rule, right? Now, I know this word can be a little heavy-handed sometimes, but if you are not 80% compliant, right, with what you're saying you're going to do, you cannot measure accurately if it led you to the outcome you were looking for. So let me use this in a real-life example. Like clients that do nutrition coaching. They do nutrition coaching for 6 months, and they say, this isn't working for me. And they assess the outcome, It didn't get me to the outcome. But you look and you're like, well, you only did 30% of the habits that we talked about. You can't assess how successful that was because the outcome didn't get, because you're only 30%, in line with the habits, the inputs that you were wanting to build, right? It's like when in the strength and conditioning world, not like outside of CrossFit, like we do strength conditioning with like high level athletes, like you have to, you assess their compliance to the program. It needs to be 90% is even better. Mm-hmm. Nobody hits 100%. Like that's really not even feasible for most people, but even like high level athletes. But I can't say, did this strength cycle in my programming on these percentages, was it effective? Did I get this athlete a bigger back squat as a coach? If they didn't make at least 80% of the training sessions, right? If they only made it to 60% of training sessions, it might as well be pointless, right? Like I can't tell if that was effective programming or not, right? So we have to be able to track. Now, this is where I find with inputs, people, like it starts to fall apart a little, is they don't actually know how to track the inputs and they don't know what inputs to track. Mm-hmm. So we need to have a way to track, and that's really just to hold ourselves accountable. And we need to know what to track. So if I was to think about all the inputs that could go into losing 10 pounds, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's overwhelming and it'd be too much. Like I can't track all those inputs. I got a life to live, right? So could I distill that down into some of the biggest inputs that would give you the biggest impact, right? And probably the biggest inputs would be like, I don't know, Liz might have a better perspective on this than I do, but like maintaining your blood sugar, which I'm like, okay, like blood sugar spikes they're a massive factor in weight gain and body fat gain. So blood sugar maintaining, which is basically like, I don't want to eat a bunch of carbs without other things portioned with it. So I'm like, okay, eating the plate method is probably huge. Mm-hmm. Input, right? Like, maybe walking the 10,000 steps. I know I'm not saying this to say don't come to the gym, but I could honestly say from a health perspective, that might be a bigger input than like coming to do CrossFit 4 times a week, is like just walking 10,000 steps a day. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, okay, yeah, those would be ones I would track. I could track 2 things. I could track that I eat the plate method.
Right. Like out of that list, probably what I would cross out is drink water. Like, yeah, that's a good one, but it's probably not the biggest.
Probably not the biggest one.
That's going to make the biggest impact.
Right.
First.
Right. I think eating the plate method and walking the 10,000 steps.
Nutrition and movement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sleep's a big one too. Yeah.
Sleep's going to come in close.
Yeah. So, and this is where having a coach, like working with someone like Liz can help. Like, because it is going to vary for everybody. It's going to vary for everybody a little bit. People are at different stages of their life. Their, genders and bodies are different, right? So there's different inputs there. But the first thing is like probably want to distill it down into a couple inputs that I know are going to have like the biggest outcome or the biggest effect on the outcome I'm looking for, right? And from there, I got to track it, right? So there's all kinds of ways to potentially do that, right? We'll talk about the nutrition app and tie some of that into this. But you could track this in other ways. So who feels like they do a good job managing their calendar beyond just their work stuff? Like who maps out their personal stuff as well? Yeah? Okay.
What does that look like? I'm curious. Like what's your system with that? Like how do you track it or how do you keep up with it?
I mean, for me, everything I do throughout, well, I don't say everything. If I put like gym in the calendar.
Yeah, I love that.
Going in the calendar every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an appointment with yourself.
If I'm meeting with someone that day.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that requires like being around other people. And then I'll save like tasks for like a to-do list, not necessarily for a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious, the gym, did you do that when you started at the gym, or did you recognize that that is something that you needed to start doing because you weren't like coming consistently, or was it just like, hey, this is just what I do?
It's like a mindset. It's like an accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I know that tomorrow I'm going to the gym at 4:30
Mm-hmm.
because it's in my calendar,
Yeah.
and I have a reminder. But it's also just like I even do it for the week. It's like I know,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to change. It has to change. It's fine, but it's like at least.
At least it's in there.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm burning my time here, so I'm going to give it to Liz here real quick, but I'm going to wrap this part up. So to accurately track our inputs, right, we need to kind of, again, those two things is one, assess the inputs that are going to have the biggest impact on the outcome that we're looking for. And two is I have to find a way to track that input to see if I'm actually even doing it, if I want to assess if that input actually gave me the outcome I was looking for. I can't just say, well, the outcome wasn't there, so this didn't work, right? If I can't say definitively, did I actually do the thing, right? If you ever read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's a classic. One of the top one is being proactive versus reactive. I find that I think in our culture, we live in a very reactive culture. Mm-hmm. Our technologies have made us that way, right? Or they certainly haven't helped us be proactive, let's put it that way. And so being proactive can be really helpful. I am a huge nerd when it comes to like calendar and looking at time and setting time aside, not just for time that you give away to other people, like a meeting. Like I got a meeting and I put it on my calendar. I think if you're even a somewhat working professional, you know how to do that part, right? But how do you not just give your time with other people, but how do I block my time on my calendar for time for myself, for the inputs that I want to work on, right? So I've identified the key inputs, and then I'm going to put them on my calendar, just like Spencer's saying with the gym. That's a good step. Could I stack on that habit on top of that, right? Could I say I need to have a little bit of time to prep my food for the next day, or maybe I'm going to set a block of time so I'm going to prep food for the whole week, or whatever that looks like, right? But that's another way. Can I put that on my calendar? Yes, you can, right? If you have an input or a behavior or an action that you're wanting to do, but you have not given it a name and a time and a place, then you're just hoping, you're just wishing that your calendar will magically open up and you'll have the time to do this thing. That never happens. I literally have never seen that happen for anybody, right? And so it doesn't magically just show up. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I have that input, but I haven't given it a time, date, place. I haven't given anything. One might be I haven't thought through it. One might also be I don't know what to do with that. Like I know I want a meal prep, but I don't actually know how to do it. And so it's just better just to keep it on my to-do list, but never give it a time or place because I don't know the steps that are required to make it happen, right? And so I have some tasks in my brain I haven't solved, right? Which is going to segue really well into building the systems, which Coach Liz is going to talk about. So I'm going to hand it off to Liz.
Thanks. Okay, I think this is probably like the hardest of this whole thing here. Mm-hmm. But we're gonna give you some tools to make it easier because that's our motto. Like, how can we make things more simple? If things are more simple, then we are more likely to follow through with them. I see all the time clients try to make things so much harder for themselves, and then it's like they crash and burn. It's like, hey, it's hard for people to kind of come up with that concept of like, oh, it's like, that's all you want me to do? I'm like, yes, that's all I want you to do. It's got to be simple. Like, I feel like just culture is like, you got to like do all these things. You got to like crush it real hard. You have to like, whatever it is. But it's like, actually, no, if we could just slow down and do things a little more simply, then we would be more consistent and we'd follow through more, which would lead us to the outcome that we're wanting. So, when someone repeatedly struggles with a behavior, it may not just be that they can't do it or we can't do it. It may just be a system problem. And that's what I see a lot of times when clients come into their sessions. We'll like look at their habit compliance, and 9 times out of 10, things come back to it being a system problem. Mostly a planning problem, mostly like a prepping problem. I don't want to say like problem, but just like this has broken down somewhere and we need to come up with a different plan, or we just need to talk through it a little bit more so these things can become easier. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about 4 laws. These will be good to write down. All right, law number 1, we want to make things obvious. First, I want to give you an example of where I'm going with this. So say somebody is repeatedly like skipping lunch. And it's like, okay, we're talking about like why, like what's going on? Like why are we skipping lunch here? It may not be because they're just lazy. Again, it might be because they didn't go to the grocery store over the weekend or whenever their grocery shopping is. They had nothing prepared. They didn't necessarily bring anything to work. Therefore, convenience happened. They just didn't eat, or they went out to eat at a restaurant and then they feel guilty because it made them just like feel really bad, and therefore that just cycle keeps happening. Okay, so you're not necessarily lazy that you didn't do that. You just didn't have a solid plan. Like you didn't set yourself up for success. And that's what we're really doing here, is trying to set ourselves up for success. So these 4 laws are really going to help us build that framework. Okay, so law number 1, we want to make it obvious. Okay, so we want to make these things. How can we make those obvious? So what will remind you to do the behavior? Okay, so that might mean we're going to put our lunches or our healthy foods in the fridge where they're visible. So when I open the fridge, I see them. They're not hidden by a bunch of things. We're going to schedule our grocery shopping. We're going to put it in our calendar. Sundays at 12 p.m. after church. That's what me and Case do. May not be at 12 p.m., but after church, we're like, hey, do we need to go to the store? All right, let's stop at Costco. If we don't need to go to the store, we've already assessed that before we went to church. Therefore, we're just going to go home and figure out what we're going to do for the week with the food that we have. If not, we're going to go to the store and get set up for the week. Can I put my water bottle beside the coffee pot every morning? Because that's the first thing I go to in the morning. I get my coffee, but I see my water. Therefore, it's like, oh, okay, I've got my water there. I'm going to also start drinking water. I leave my water bottle on my nightstand. When I get up, I take that water bottle with me to the kitchen. So how do we make this obvious? What is something we can do to remind yourself to do it? Out of sight, out of mind. We have to make this obvious, okay? Number 2, make it attractive. So what do I mean by that? How could this feel more enjoyable or meaningful? Not everything we do is going to be fun. Okay, like behavior change sometimes is not fun at all. Like it can be really uncomfortable. It can be like frustrating. But what I'm saying is when we are trying to build a system, how can we make it more meaningful? So meaning, if we're going to spend some time in the kitchen, meal prepping, can we put on like a cool podcast? Can we put on some music to just like get the environment going and put us in a good mood and not just sit there thinking, oh, I'm spending all this time making food like I'm bored. No, just like pair something fun with it. Can you prepare with a friend, or if you have a spouse, can you get them involved and do it together to make it more enjoyable? Can we choose foods at the grocery store that we genuinely enjoy? I say all the time to clients, we still need to have joy in this. If there's no joy or like fun in it, then we're not going to be consistent with it. So that doesn't mean you have to always eat plain chicken, rice, and broccoli at your meals, right? That's how having, like, why having a coach comes in is because, like, we can brainstorm recipes. Like, hey, what are your favorite foods? Like, what do you really enjoy? Like, how can we make this more fun for you and your meals more tasty, but also on the healthy side so that you can still get this outcome that you want? Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, number 3, make it easy. We got to make this easy. All right, what do I mean by this habit? This is probably one that I talk about the most if I think about it with clients. What is the easiest version of this habit? A lot of times people want to do the ideal thing, and if it's not the ideal thing, then they're just not going to do it. So, for example, if a client is trying to get more vegetables in their diet, if they're trying to eat half their plate in veggies, or if we're working on a more whole foods diet approach, and they can't eat for whatever reason, actually this never really comes up, but just giving you an example, like if they can't eat the organic, fresh produce, then they're just not going to eat veggies. Okay, so, or if they're having trouble getting their protein in because they don't know really how to cook protein correctly. It's like, okay, can we buy something like a rotisserie chicken? Can we buy some pre-made options until we can really learn how to cook our protein or how you personally like it? A lot of times too, the veggies is getting veggies on the plate. Maybe we just didn't plan and prepare well and we don't have any available, where this is where having frozen veggies comes in handy. The Grossman household is a frozen veggie household because it's easy and it's convenient and it takes 5 minutes. Pop it in the microwave and they're ready, and there's literally no excuse to get those veggies in because you have that easy option. That's kind of our backup plan there. So what's the easiest version of the habit? Spence had his workout planned for 4:30 in his calendar. For whatever reason, say he couldn't make it. Well, what would be what could he do since he couldn't make it to the gym? What could be like an easier version of that? Anybody having, I guess?
Small walks sometimes.
Yeah.
Like later that evening.
Yeah.
Like good steps to do.
Going on a walk.
Yep.
That's not the ideal. Sometimes people stop there and they get angry because they couldn't do their ideal, but they never think about, okay, what's something else I can do? That something else still is an input that helps you to your outcome, and it still keeps you motivated to keep going rather than just stopping, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, number 4, make it satisfying. How will I create immediate evidence that I follow through on this habit? I don't know about y'all, but it's really like, still, I've been in this space for over 10 years, and it's still really fun and gives me that dopamine response when I can say, okay, I did this. Like, I followed through. I marked this off my list. I'm a task list person, so if I have a lot of tasks to do, I like to write them down. Even if I've done it for the day, I like to write it down, and I still mark it off. And that is really satisfying to me. So how can we make this satisfying? For our clients, we put habits into the app, and every time they complete it, they mark it off. And we can see their compliance rate for the month. How consistent have they been with this habit? And that's how we can measure. Can you share that win with a coach? I'll get messages all the time. Coach Liz, I'm prepped for the week. I got it. I'm going to crush it this week. I spent some time in the kitchen this Sunday, and I've got my lunches ready. That's just that immediate response. That's like satisfying. Say, hey, I followed through on what I said, and that builds confidence as well when we can do that. All right, so those are those 4 laws here. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. If we can kind of tie these into what you're trying to do, it's gonna help you be more consistent there. All right, I'm gonna ask for a volunteer. We're gonna get a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Interactive. I was gonna say reactive. It's like, no, we don't need to be more reactive, okay? All right, who has already identified an outcome that they're trying to achieve and an input that they want to start doing more of? What we're gonna do is I'm gonna help you build your system. We're gonna kind of do this together. Who wants to volunteer?
I would like to just have more balanced, like meal. Every meal be more balanced.
Okay.
Because I've had very unbalanced meals for so long.
Every meal balanced. Okay, get more specific. Like balanced as in all the
So, like,
components on the plate,
Yes,
or
the on plate being like, like Ryan's Curry, like you have your protein, you
Yep.
also have carbs, you have, starch,
your fiber, your color.
and rather than just like loading up on protein after like a gym,
Okay.
okay, I still need other nutrients, not
Yeah.
just protein or not just carbs.
Yeah. So the outcome you're looking for is consistently eating more balanced meals containing all the components. Yeah, more consistently. Would you say like every day of the week? Like how often?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that realistic? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. All right. So let's see. How will this question? So what made you choose this input or habit or behavior? Like what will this help you with?
I think, well, one is generally like overall health. It's like if I'm just having too much of one thing, I'm missing out on the health and wellness of like, I'm depriving my body of certain nutrients that.
Yeah. You might be missing some things.
Exactly.
Okay. Yep. So for you, what I'm hearing is, do you feel like you're getting home and just like opening the fridge and saying, okay, I'm going to eat this.
Yeah, or like breakfast foods. A lot of it has to do with convenience or like
Yep.
what's easiest to make.
Yep.
What's available.
Okay.
What I'm used to in the grocery store.
Cool. Nice. Okay, cool. We can go with that. Okay, so we have our input. What normally prevents you from doing this? What can you tie it back to?
Just having the knowledge of what to get and then
Okay.
convenience. I hate spending a lot of time with it, to be honest.
Having the knowledge and then convenience. Okay, cool. So if we want more consistent balanced meals in the week, sounds like we just need a little bit more knowledge of what to do. But we also need it to be a little more convenient. That's fine. That's great. I have clients all the time where it's like, we need to make it more convenient
Like
for
as
you.
few steps as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then we're going to go through these steps and help you out. And I want everybody to, it's not just me here. I want y'all to like give some ideas. So for Spence to have more consistent balanced meals in the week, also, I don't know your schedule either, so that plays a part too.
Sometimes I don't do that.
Yeah. So if we want him to have more consistent balanced meals in the week, how can he make it obvious? What can we do? Also, you can answer these two.
I feel like you would have to have, back to that, like what's in the fridge.
Yes.
So do you eat a lot of your meals at home, or do you eat a lot of your meals like I'm out doing other things and I'm eating out? Like I'm at a show, I'm at a work
It
thing
varies, but like if I'm in town, like I try to eat most of the meals
at home. Okay. So I almost feel like you kind of need a couple systems here. You need like a I'm on the road system, and you need like a I'm home system. But if you're just like I'm home, it needs to be in the house. Like it needs to be like there it is right
Yep.
there.
I've also never meal prepped before.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you thought of, so meal prepping for me was a little difficult because I got really bored really quickly. Like I didn't want to eat the same thing every single week, and like I don't like vegetables. I'll just say it. It's true. I did a little bit of the paleo thing just to see how you feel.
Paleo works.
Do you want to eat just the same thing 3 times a week? Do you want to eat the same thing every week, every 2 days? That kind of helped me a little bit. and like organizing. Like I know that I can't eat the same thing for 5 days straight. My thing is 3 days. I know that because I tried that out. So now when I meal prep, I don't meal prep for the week. I'll meal prep for 3 days.
Gotcha.
Just like that. And then let's say on Wednesday I have a bunch of meetings. I'm going crazy, and I have that scheduled for that day. I'll just go to Sprouts and get a rotisserie chicken, take off the skin, and I have frozen vegetables in my house.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So I think Ryan hit the nail on the head, and that's a good thing too. Is how to make it obvious. Well, we just need food. We need all the components in your fridge first. So then my next question is, well, when do you usually grocery shop?
When I have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be.
Or when I'm just out of things.
Yeah, it might be that you start to have build a system where it's like, okay, every X day, I'm gonna go to, or I'm gonna assess what's in my fridge and my pantry,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go to the store, whether it's on Sunday or whatever is best for you,
The other
depending
thing
on your
sucks is,
schedule.
like, things go bad.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, things go bad quick. Some things don't go bad quick.
Mhm.
So sometimes they don't, you know.
So I think that kind of goes to the make it easy thing, which the tools of like having the frozen, like buying more frozen vegetables, more frozen produce, meats that you can cook and store potentially.
Frozen broccolis might be.
Yeah. Honestly, if you don't want to spend too much time in the kitchen, this is my recommendation. Get some frozen veggies. Pick a protein or two, like 2 proteins, whether that's ground beef, whether that's chicken, whatever you like. Bulk prep that. Get some, if you like rice, if you like sweet potatoes, they have the like 90-second microwavable rice bags. All you got to do is spend 10 minutes cooking that protein,
And everything else.
and everything else is good to go. You know, one thing too is to change flavors. Add some like 0 sugar sauces on top, or like just the spices. You can change that up as well. And the good thing about thinking about components on your plate rather than what recipes do I need to cook. I'm not a recipe person. Some people are. Recipes overwhelm me. I'd rather just think about what components do I need on my plate, and let me just make it easy on myself. Get some things that I can microwave, cook some protein, and then that is in my fridge and I can build. That way when you open up your fridge, you're not just going for the protein part. You've got all the other things available, and you can just pop that in the microwave, and there's that balanced plate with all the components.
Look at pantry, it's like green beans and then I'll just set that on the counter, remind me to put that with whatever I have.
Yeah. So that's kind of the easy part is what we just went through. Making it satisfying, like how could you, what for you would help you say like, hey, I followed through with this, like that. Is that something like, okay, you have something in your fridge where it's like, okay, my breakfast was really balanced today. Boom. My lunch balanced, like something like that. Are you like a mark off person, or?
I mean, to me, the payoff is like, is this just as good, if not better, than something I could get anywhere else without
Yeah.
paying X amount of money?
Yeah.
Making it satisfying is you're not paying
Yeah,
$30 for a lunch.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is very
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that helpful to wrap your mind around, like think about?
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
So I think part of it is to like, yeah, we want to make it, those 4 laws help us build the systems, but we are still, you have to change something of what you're doing, right? And so you got to approach it like that. Like I don't approach it like, well, it's just going to happen. You are still trying to like,
It has to be intentional.
yeah.
Right.
And at first, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to go to the grocery store. I'm not really used to that, right? And that's where I can kind of be proactive. Like, okay, so I'm going to try and do this thing. I'm going to put it on my calendar for Sundays or whatever to get the groceries. And there's always a learning curve to things too. You know, like there's things that you have to kind of learn to like get better at that, like pairing the foods together, like Liz was saying. So it's still going to be, there's still effort when
Yeah.
you're trying to make a change. But you're trying to make that input be those 4 laws, like obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. You know.
Yeah.
So
I saw somebody post this morning on, and I was just kind of like going through, and I'm not saying you're doing this, so please don't, but it was like, it's easier to complain than change. And so I feel like a lot of times when we're trying to get this in order, like I hear people put blame on environment is the reason why they can't change. Well, my work environment has all these things there, so I can't do that. Actually, yes, you can. So like just taking initiative, us taking initiative. And I say this all the time, if this was easy, then everybody would be doing it. Like if this was easy, everybody would be doing it. Making changes is not easy. It's hard. It requires effort. It requires intentionality. It requires some like, friction, like, okay, like I'm comfortable here. We all love comfortability, but making change requires getting out of our comfort zone and doing something different.
Well, I think the point you made earlier, it's like simple and easy are two different things. I feel
Yes.
like.
Yes.
Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. You should
Exactly.
make it simple,
Right.
but it may still be very
Exactly. I say this to clients all the time, like, hey, we're trying to make this as simple as possible, but that does not mean it's going to be easy. It does not mean it's going to be easy at all, because we all have habits and behaviors that
Right.
we have done since childhood. Or like we have to unlearn a lot of things that we've learned along the way, and even unlearning can make these things really hard.
Yeah, the environment thing, like, it helps me when I like think about like extremes, because I can kind of bring it down to simple, and like, okay, can I make this environment change in my current life? But like, I'll use an example. Like, if we all moved to New York City, like because our job required us to go there, you would all of a sudden not have any problem getting 10,000 steps in. Like you would get 10,000 steps because you radically changed your environment, and now you're in a brand new environment that you just walk everywhere. You don't really drive your car, right? And so, like, that's like an extreme example, but gets you, like, it helps me frame up like, okay, when I say change my environment, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to create a space where I walk because I live in New York City. That's what you do, right? You walk everywhere, right? And so it's kind of the same idea with your nutrition. Like I do this because this is the environment I'm in, you know?
Yep.
So,
Yes.
but you have to kind of build it. See, that's the hard part. Like it's that, you're kind of like trying to build this environment as opposed to like, I now live in a new city.
Right, too. And like on the nutrition side of things, I talk to clients all the time about environment. Like, what does your home environment look like? What does your kitchen look like? What is in your kitchen? Are there a lot of highly processed foods around that make it really tempting? Are you buying those things at the store? If you're trying to get away from those,
That's a good one.
then maybe we don't buy those. Maybe they're not in the house. And if you want something, it requires you to go outside of your house and go actually get it.
There was a guy that lost like, he got real big on YouTube, but he lost like 100 pounds because he created an artificial environment in his head. And the environment was, if I want takeout, I will walk there. And he, in the closest place, it was kind of like a city like Nashville, and the closest place was like a Subway, like a half a mile away. And he created this artificial but environment, and he's like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And he lost 100 pounds. Yeah, because he forced himself to walk to go get Subway.
Did you have a thought?
And also, like, coming from where I come from, a lot of the noises with, like, even like with my journey when I started with Gabby before, I'm starting again. A lot of people are like, oh my God, you lost weight, you look so good. But don't you want to do shots? You could lose a little faster. So it's like, yeah, I did. I mean, I know what I need to know. Everybody is outside noise, and I kept on telling people, like, I'm glad that works for you. Like my dad lost 50 pounds in 3 months, but he eats 1 meal a day, but he doesn't work out because he's a truck driver. I'm like, I can't eat 1 meal a day because I'll faint in the middle of the classroom. So like, to me, what bothers me most about it is the outside noise, and even family members that are still wanting, and I don't think they do it on purpose, like they want you to be better. But it's like, hey, I know somebody's cousin, somebody that lost that in half of the time, and they didn't have to do all the shit you had to do. Kind of situations like that. And like, with like the whole Instagram things, can you eat oatmeal? oatmeal's good for you, oatmeal's bad for you.
Mm.
Like I'm like,
Yeah.
like
To
can I
me,
eat it? Can I not eat it? Things like that.
Yeah.
Like, going back to the whole knowledge situation is
Yeah.
like, big, I think.
Yeah.
There is a knowledge component for sure.
for sure.
Well, can I just say too, like, and this
Yeah.
all applies to me at this point in time, but I think that, I think people could significantly underestimate how programmable they are. In the sense of like going forward, but also in the sense of like where I'm at now. So it's easy to default to the outcomes that you can't control. Like, this is where I live, this is who my family is, this is my job, these are the circumstances I'm in. So yes, you have to like live within that, but they also directly correlate to my behaviors because I'm being programmed through it. So, you know, the person I am today is a combination of choices I've made and a ton of environments I've been in. And one thing that social media is bothersome in my life is because every time I enter into it, I'm just inviting other environments in and kind of pretending like I have control. But in reality, between like the algorithms and the interests and the articles and the information and all the stuff I try to take in to learn, I am programming myself. And if I'm aloof to that, it kind of feels like the normal thing. But in reality, like the control I have over that is very small. And I think what people underestimate is that they have those habits, they hang out with those people, they get in those environments, and they think they're stronger than the effect that those environments have on them. So they're kind of like, oh, this isn't affecting me, this isn't programming me, but it absolutely is programming you. And I think it's kind of like a system that you can't outdo. And so like, sometimes for me specifically, like this information gets overwhelming. And so I'll jump to an extreme, kind of like you did, where I realize that the only way this is going to work in my life is if I kind of treat myself like a complete idiot. Where like, it's not about figuring this out, it's just about doing very basic things that program me until I'm like not even thinking about them and I'm just doing them. And then all of a sudden I become a different human being, as opposed to trying to like solve the equation for me, because I'm not stronger than what the environment around me is going to have an effect on me, you know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of like people that get trapped in much harder addictions and things like that. It's like, if my goal is 100% to not drink alcohol, then spending 100% of my time with other people that do in environments that include alcohol, there's very little chance that I'm gonna win. Because like, I'm not stronger than what those environments are gonna have an effect on me if it's always readily available. But if I just get out of those environments, I don't have to be the smartest person that is the strongest will to get just out of it. So it's like, I'm gonna walk to the closest place, or it's not even available to me. And then it's like, wow, all of a sudden there's success. And so I think that people underestimate where they're at now because they've been programmed to be. What they want to get is a series of program too. It's not willpower or knowledge or strength or anything.
Right.
It's just like, I'm a computer basically, and I have to take into account that everything I watch and see and listen to is creating a new me. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a really good way to put it, Case.
Mic drop.
Yeah, that's a good
There we
point.
go.
I think, and then we should talk
Yeah, I
about
wanna
the HSN app. We
yeah,
can wrap
I
up.
wanna
But yeah, and I put this like in Chalk It when we first were talking about this talk. But it's like, you know, you're in at Whole Strength. You're in like a little mini environment of people that are like, what cases? Like I put myself in an environment that's going to allow me to. It's like I showed up to class. I did the workout because I was in the environment and I felt like that's what I needed to do, right? And so that's when I say like leverage what you have. Everyone in this room has some of that already because they're here. It's like leverage that to like keep building other environments outside of here that are going to work in your health. But let's talk about the HSN app.
Yeah, one quick thing that I want to mention, and I've already kind of mentioned this, is when we're kind of thinking about our systems that we put in place. I've already talked about, like, you know, you've got your ideal system, but also I tell people all the time, we actually want to think about what we can do on our worst days. If we always think about what we can do on our best days where things are going perfectly, but we then don't think about what are we doing on our off days, because I feel like oftentimes more of it, we just have off days. And that's when the compliance rate drops, because we actually, wait, what do I do now that I'm struggling here? I'm not able to do my plan, so what do I do? So my saying is modify, don't miss. So like the example of Spence, if he wants to come to the 4:30 class, he has it in his calendar. He couldn't get to it today. He's going to modify. He's going to go for a walk instead. He's not going to miss his movement for the day. So modify, don't miss.
That's good.
This is still aligned with the person that he wants to become. And that's what we're looking for. What can we do on our worst days is more of like the plan that we need to think about. And then on our best days, boom, it's simple, but I already have a plan when things are going to go wrong. Okay, so we use how we measure consistency here, how we measure our inputs, okay, and how we kind of control our systems, and how as a coach I help clients keep all of this aligned is with our nutrition app. We have this app as a tool. It's a tool for your toolbox. I tell people all the time, like, if we're not able to utilize this tool to its full capacity, then you're really missing out, because it really has an effect on how consistent we can be. So we can track our daily inputs. We can track our habits, behaviors, actions, daily action, kind of, those are all the same. So if I have clients that are, I do have a client that actually has a habit on her calendar that she's going to walk after dinner every night. Holly has a habit on her calendar to drink more water. We've been working on that one. Holly's not a big water drinker, but she's trying to be. Has this helped you think about what you can change for that water a little bit? Kind of get you closer to it? It can give you kind of some objective feedback. So you can look at your compliance rate for the month and say, oh, I've only marked this off 3 times in 20 days. What is going on here? That means something has dropped in the system, and we need to really hone in on that. Okay, we can recognize patterns over time using this tool. We've got recipes. You can track your food. There's a database. You can track your food. That's one thing that brings awareness. You can take a meal photo. You can just track all your food. There's like 3 different ways that you can track your food intake on the app. Who has the app downloaded? I know May, you, Gabby. Yes, I know Case has been in it. So a lot of you have seen it. So I'm actually going to we were going to try to be able to pull it up on the big screen so you can actually see what it looks like, but we weren't able to figure that out.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. But again, this is when you have an outcome, right? We kind of have to like shelf that. And this is really where we have to focus on. So again, our app is that tool of how we are able to track it. So it's very pretty, looks like this. So if you are a coaching client, or you can be on there even without being a coaching client, to see how this helps you stay more consistent. And we can tell you what that looks like. If I were a client, this is my client-facing profile. I did have a habit on here for myself, actually, and I was tracking it. I need to go in there and put it on again, but I was focused on just eating breakfast in the morning. This was actually my first trimester, and I needed to just eat a breakfast in the morning to help me feel better. So I was like, I'm going to add that habit to this app so I can keep myself more accountable. And every time I ate breakfast, I would go in there, boom, mark it off. Super quick to do that. So that's one thing you can do, is we can put a habit on there and track our habits. And that's really the main thing. Now, the other thing that we do on there is you can plan your meals. Again, it's just another way to keep your week consistent. So you can plan your meals.
For you, what you were talking about, like I could like make a grocery list and a meal plan in there, and there's a bunch of
Yep, tells you everything you need to buy. Plan your meals. You can browse recipes in here. There's so many recipes. If I was to say, okay, tomorrow after church, me and Case are going to go to the grocery store, and I'm just going to plan out my week here. This is what I'm going to have for breakfast, lunch, dinner. For me personally, I'm able to kind of be at home a little bit more, so I don't necessarily have to think through all that much. So that's my That's just kind of like my environment. But if we're in the office every day, say we're like commuting to work, and we like Holly goes to the office every day. Maybe she like really needs to plan her meals. This would be a good area to do that. And it pops up and you can just say, you can click it off and say, I ate this meal. Boom. Super simple. Another way that you can track your intake is logging meals. We have a meal photo option where you can just take a meal photo. That's where I have clients start off in the very beginning, because a lot of times people think that they'll tell me all the time, oh, I eat pretty healthy. I eat pretty good. And again, there's a no judgment zone here, but like, okay, what does pretty good mean? Let me see. So I have them just take pictures of their food so I can like just kind of say, okay, what's on your plate? What are you doing well so far? What can we optimize though? What needs to be added based on this? Okay, do I need to up my protein a little bit? Holly's been working on getting more veggies in, crushing it. We were working on protein intake and having like a balanced, she loves her protein. It's not hard for Holly to get her protein in. That's why I love it. I'm like, Holly can get her protein in. But also we can be overeating on things. We can be overeating on protein. So like, hey, are we having just a balanced plate here? So that's one thing the meal photo option does. We can also treat it as we're just like tracking our intake, tracking some macros. Some people that I work with have just a specific protein goal that they're working towards. And so you can scan barcodes. You can also add foods out of a database and track it that way. You can also create some custom foods. There's so many different ways to track. I know it can seem overwhelming, but when you're working with somebody that can walk you through it, we can say, hey, this is the easiest place we're gonna start. Let's start here by tracking X, and then we'll go to the next best thing, right?
We also got cute little containers to help you portion out.
Yes. Holly got some good containers. Yes. You message me. I'm available 24/7. I might not get back to you in 5 minutes, but you know, you can always message me with wins like, hey, I prepped my food. Hey, I ate my veggies today. Hey, I drank my water. I went on a walk today. You know, that is where this can come in. You can add your steps, your sleep. There's so many different things. One thing too is that there's lessons. Today's is 4 tips to help you improve your digestion. Like there's just 2 or 3 minute videos on there that help you gain more knowledge throughout the process.
Yep. And there's a community group now.
There's a community
we're
group
gonna
now.
build. So there'll be like a community group chat in there that
Yes.
people can share some of the wins and questions.
But like
Yeah.
people from our group,
Mhm.
or like,
Yeah, from just whole
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
But people who are, because you can be on the app and just use it. Like that's the new thing that we're doing, where you can have Coach Liz in your corner, which is what I recommend for most people. But
Coach Gabby.
or Coach, yeah, I mean Jasmine, all of them. Sorry, I didn't mean to single anyone out. Yeah, or you can just use the app standalone too, like without a coach.
Right. Right. There's certain things, if you're just using the app without a coach, there's certain things that you're only able to do. And then if you're a one-on-one client, there's just like more things that you can do. But really, the main goal is not to like just use the app perfectly. The main goal is to just use it as a tool to help you have more consistency and accountability. Okay. So I know we've gone way over time, so I apologize. I want to be respectful of your time. But I'm going to challenge everybody for the next 7 days. I want you to choose one input, behavior, habit, whatever you want to call it. Choose one thing and practice it for the next 7 days. Like give yourself a week. Don't say, hey, for the next 3 months, I'm going to do this every single day. No, take it baby step at a time. For the next week, practice one input. Make it small enough that you can complete it 80% of the time. So that means you're going to have a way to track it, whether that's just you're going to write it in your calendar, you're going to mark it off when you do it. But in those 7 days, hit that 80% compliance. I don't do math, but how many days is that out of 7 days?
6.
you need to do it out of 6 out of 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. I don't do math, but there we go. Um, so again, wrapping this all up, goals really give us direction. We have to have a goal. We have to have that. But then we just kind of need to shelf it and really focus on the day-to-day inputs, because that's what's really bringing us progress. Systems then help these things become repeatable. That's what we need. Most people forget this. They just focus on, okay, I need to drink more water. Okay, bye. No. How are we going to drink more water? What is this going to look like? Like, break it down. Like, make it so simple.